If you want somebody to buy that screenplay, you have to prove somebody wants it. One way of doing that is with a proof of concept short. What is a proof of concept short film? Well, a proof of concept short is a short film that is either a smaller chunk or of a larger film or larger screenplay, or a compressed version of that screenplay, or something that, takes place in the same world and therefore shows proof of the concept that somebody likes this, that this is going to work, that this is going to be entertaining. And there's been a really great history of this working. District 9 was famously a short film alive in Joburg, where the director was really able to show his talent for VFX and made a sci-fi world with a tiny budget, which was a great advertisement for him to direct a feature-length version of it. Napoleon Dynamite's a great example of this. Napoleon Dynamite started out as a short film called Palooka, and that allowed Napoleon Dynamite, that was a proof to people that Napoleon Dynamite could be made into a film and maybe have an audience. The director was able to secure $400,000, which is a relatively small budget for that time. And that movie was a monstrous hit. It was a cultural phenomenon when it came out. They made cartoons from it. It's just a massive hit. You can get action figures of Napoleon Dynamite. So it was a great example of how, with a proof of concept short, you can prove that you have the voice and you can show a tone that's unique and interesting and show a world and show a character that people will want to see more of. There's a bunch of reasons why a proof of concept short is a great idea. One is, making a short film in general is a good idea because you need to practice as a storyteller. You need to make something that isn't going to take up 5 years of your life and, be a just massive, expensive undertaking like a feature would be. And so a short film can be a really good example of that. But the truth is, short films don't have a whole lot of use, right? Like, there's not a lot of places where people go and just like, hey, I want to watch a bunch of short films. Nobody wants to watch short films that I know that's not a filmmaker. You could put them in film festivals, and that's a great thing to do. They're just great to cut your teeth on. I've been examples of filmmakers who made a short film or a couple short films, and that was their bounce into as a mainstream filmmaking. The examples, the recent movie Talk to Me, Ari Aster made a bunch of shorts, including The Strange Case of the Johnsons, which is really disturbing. You got to see this movie if you haven't, and I'll put links to all of these movies in the description below. But other than that, like, who watches short films, right? A proof of concept can accomplish that same goal, allowing you to cut your teeth, allowing you to practice filmmaking and storytelling, but on a story that might have more life outside of just a short. It can show somebody, hey, this is the movie we want to make. We want to make a longer version of this, and give us the money, right? Done all the world building. You've done all the character creation. You've created a plot, you've created the drama, you've created the tone and feel, and why not expand on the world of the story and put it in several different mediums, right? So, there's examples of this where people will take a feature and put it into a TV show or a podcast or an audio drama, or Fleabag was originally a stage play. So having IP, that's intellectual property, right? Intellectual property, putting your intellectual property or IP in some sort of package can be a really nice way of getting it out into the world. It's also a way of like planting your flag, right? Rather than if you just say, here's my screenplay, and you put your screenplay out into the world and say, oh, look at this really amazingly original world that I created. Well, a lot of times if Hollywood buys that screenplay from you, what they might do is they might take it and just sort of destroy it and do whatever they want with it, and you'll have next to no control even if they bought it from you. Another reason why I think it's really a great idea to do some sort of proof of concept short is, as a filmmaker, as a screenwriter, often you can feel like screenwriting is an incredibly frustrating medium, because when you write a screenplay, it's really not a thing. Nobody reads screenplays other than screenwriters, right? So it's really just a blueprint. And so as it is a blueprint for something else, often they don't get made, you know, and they just stay this really great, brilliant idea you came up with that you might have floating around your head for years. Maybe it's too expensive, it's too hard to make. And so putting it out there in some way can be really powerful, and a way of taking charge of what you want to do. This is kind of like what we did when we made The Killers Next Door, and you can see that movie and links in the description below. So a proof of concept short is much easier to make than a feature. It can also be a calling card that you could take to get funding. So if you want to get funding for a feature-length version of it, sometimes that proof of concept short can be a way for you to say to your investors, hey, here's what I want to do. This is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like. You know, give me some money. So there's many different approaches that you can take to doing a proof of concept short. One way is to just give us a scene, right? To drop us off in the middle and then have us catch up. And then that scene may encapsulate some sort of drama that is indicative of how the whole movie's going to work. So what's great about this is, if you think about it as a screenwriter and you're trying to, you know, get submissions to send out to contests to get some attention, and you want to send a screenplay out to the Austin Film Festival, well, you could also cannibalize it, take one little powerful chunk, turn it into a proof of concept short film screenplay, and send that in to the Austin Film Festival screenplay competition the same year, right? So that is a really good way. We're repurposing the work. We're doing a lot with this, you know, story world that you've created, and using it and canalizing it and putting it in different forms so that we can get it out into the world some way, right? That can be a really good idea. So in the case of Whiplash, it's really just the scene where J.K. Simmons tosses a symbol at the main character's head. It's just that scene, basically shot for shot with a different actor. J.K. Simmons is still in it, so this is a pretty high budget short film, but that was a great proof that showed people that Whiplash would make a great movie, which I think it is. I love Whiplash, one of my favorite movies of the past decade. What's great about that is, like, yeah, handing a person a script can be effective in certain circumstances. Somebody's much more likely to watch a movie than they are to read a screenplay. So having that short film was a great way to get producers attracted to it. They saw this is a person who really wants this, who's pushing really hard, and so that also attracts people. So you have just a screenplay, you're 1 in a million, and that can work out for you still, but this is just give you the edge. Another version of the proof of concept short is to take the same arc that you have in your feature and just compress it to a really tight, short form. And Napoleon Dynamite is a great example of this. If you watch the film Palooka, okay, this is the original film Palooka that led to the creation of Napoleon Dynamite. It's 7 minutes long, but it shows a similar arc to the arc of Napoleon Dynamite, in that we start off and we see Napoleon, and he's a loner. He's sitting next to this kid on the bus. The kid says, "Hey, what are you doing today, Napoleon?" And Napoleon replies, "Whatever I want," right, in a kind of obnoxious voice. And then he tosses a little action figure outside of the bus, and he drags it by a string, you know, just being like totally nerdy. And then he spends his day in class, and a kid's picking on him, and Pedro steps in and whacks the kid right in the face.
When you say stuff like that, it's like throwing gasoline on it.
And so immediately he makes a connection with Pedro. So similarly, exactly like the feature here, we have the plot points are compressed into tinier pieces, and we're skipping all the extraneous stuff, the fun stuff that would amp this up to a 90-minute movie. We're taking this down to it's like really tight 7-8 minutes. So he meets Pedro, and this is the inciting incident that begins the story. He's got a friend. The next thing is his other friend Gail accidentally shaves his head, and is embarrassed and wants a wig. And so Napoleon Dynamite and his friends Gail and Pedro go on a journey to get Gail a wig, and that is the sort of adventure objective or goal of the story in this little 7-minute piece. They meet just a couple of obstacles, right? Napoleon wants a fanny pack, and so he's gonna go. He's got $7. It's not enough. So he decides he's going to get a lottery ticket. So he goes into a convenience store, buys a lottery ticket, but the guy won't sell it to him because he's obviously a teenager. But Gail has a mustache. So Gail walks in rocking the mustache, and then the guy behind the counter is like, oh, okay, you must be an adult. You got a mustache, right? So he gives them a lottery ticket. They win. They get the money. So this is like where normally in our Act 2 we would have many and many obstacles. In this Act 2, we just got a couple. And then we finally reach the store, and where Gail finds the wig that's perfect. It's gonna work out for him. And Napoleon sees he only has money enough for either the fanny pack or the wig. Which is he gonna choose, right? And this is that big change moment that we talk about. If you want to see more about this conversation in my video on 3-act structure, you can. So we talk about this change moment. We're gonna watch a character change. And in the feature version of Napoleon Dynamite, Napoleon makes a decision. Hey, I'm either gonna make an ass out of myself dancing to Jamiroquai and save my friend Pedro and help my friend, or I'm gonna chicken out and, you know, be safe. And he makes the decision to help out his friend, right? So, and in this shorter version of it, we see him make the decision, either I get the fanny pack or help my friend Gail, and he helps his friend. And in the end, he's learned something, right? He's changed. It's a silly movie, but he's changed by the journey. This is what happens in all stories. And that change is the same change that happens in the 90-minute movie, happens in that 7-minute movie, but compressed into a tight 7-8 minutes. It's really miraculous. If you want to watch it, it's in the links in the description below. Another way that you can do a proof of concept short is just to show us the world, just to give us a sample of the world building. I think this is what District 9's short film Alive in Joburg does. It gives us a sense of the world, the style, the feel, the original idea. It plants the flag in the ground that this is my IP, intellectual property, and this is a new idea, and we got to make a feature out of it. And they did, and it's great. Another example of one where they took just a piece of the film and they took that and allowed it to have its own arc, right? The scene has its own arc, is Unreal. Sarah Gertrude Shapiro was a producer on a reality TV show similar to The Bachelor, and she said they were just merciless in how they treated the women on this show. They would intentionally hire women with mental problems. They would poke and prod them and set them against each other, and then watch the chaos, right? And that was her job, was to go and push these girls into creating chaos for the camera. And so she makes a fantastic show about it called Unreal. It definitely, I will say, I love the show. It's hilariously over the top, but it does jump the shark a little bit and get too crazy, but in a way that's still really fun. Highly recommend you watch it, especially if you like, you know, kind of trashy fun that is with a little bit of quality. But the first episode is a masterpiece of hour-long TV drama and holds up as a short film with a beginning, middle, and end arc.
Television and told the world that
this job is Satan's asshole.
That's beautiful.
The short film version of this is called SEQUIN RAZE. And so SEQUIN RAZE is a 20-minute scene that is taken from the first episode of Unreal, where the main character, the producer, goes and has to bring back and get like a good ending for the show.
Camera, I will not go on camera. Turn around, you're fine. Let's go. Last one.
And it basically follows the same arc. It's really powerful. Highly recommend you watch it. So those are some ways that you can construct a proof of concept short. If you'd like to hear more about how to construct a story, please check out this video here.